Welcome to CTV News Your Canada. It's Monday, March the 10th. We'll bring you profiles of fascinating Canadians and stories about your community. Thanks for watching.
Before Dr. Vera Etches became a leading voice in Ottawa's medical community, she says it was women who inspired her to go into the world of public health.
I thought these are the kind of people I want to work with.
She says when she was a medical student working in Malawi, Africa, she saw the work of nurses who were treating AIDS patients.
Who really were so embedded in their community and tackling big problems.
Ahead of International Women's Day on Saturday, Dr. Etches speaking at an event at City Hall discussing women's rights.
I think it's important to pay attention to what we can do, where we are making progress, and to keep going, to make space for women to have all the opportunities they deserve.
We need spaces like this one now more than ever.
Councillor Ariel Troster says after seeing pushback against women's and 2S LGBTQ+ rights, as well as the end of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the U.S., this year holds significance.
To reaffirm as a representative of the city that we're still committed to gender equity, we're still committed to anti-racism, and that having spaces like this where we can gather together is really, really important.
The World Economic Forum says at its current pace, it will take until 2158 to reach full gender parity.
That's roughly 5 generations or 133 years from now. That's way too long.
The push continues both inside and outside City Hall.
We need to move faster. We need to move more proactively to eliminate barriers and take proactive steps to make an environment where women can truly succeed.
Kimberly Johnson, CTV News.
She has 17 years under her belt in the construction industry, and Nicole McIntyre enjoys her work. She's on site daily coordinating the trades and supports the project managers to make sure the work is done on time and on budget.
Women, they bring a different element, and I'm proud to be somebody who's kind of been on the ground level, breaking through the barriers, and I'm not looking back, so I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
When Savannah Singh graduated from SAIT, she was one of only a handful of women enrolled in the course. Now she's been working in construction for 3 years.
I love being a part of the change and being in a field that is male-dominated. It's kind of a challenge for me to prove everybody wrong, and then also gaining the trust of trades. That's the biggest thing, and that's sometimes can be hard.
The Canadian Association of Women in Construction works to empower women in the industry, but say on a national and global level, women only make up 5% of the workforce.
We're doing a pretty good job with attracting women to the industry. We're not doing as good of a job as retaining women into the industry. And I think what starts to happen is that obviously it's harassment and discrimination that goes through, and we haven't actually changed that.
March 2nd kicked off Canadian Women in Construction Week. Megan Stark is hopeful it will inspire more women to pursue it as a career.
Being a female in a more male-dominated industry, being maybe a bit unsure or uncomfortable with what that can lead to, but it does truly, as long as you can show up every day and do your job, it's totally different than what it was. Honestly, 5 years ago, we have made such big progress over the years.
And Alberta is higher than the national average, with 7% of its construction workers being female. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Calgary.
The Eye in the Sky, coming to 50 intersections in Brampton. Cameras intended to help Mayor Patrick Brown with one goal.
We want to make Brampton the worst place in the country to commit a crime. We want it to be known that if you commit a crime in Brampton, you are going to be caught and prosecuted.
Announced today, the $11 million investment making Brampton the first city in the country to install 360-degree cameras and license plate recognition.
The location of these cameras will remain confidential. Just know that if you are committing a crime in Brampton, that you're likely going to get caught.
The technology already exists in U.S. cities like Detroit and New Orleans. Brampton already has speed enforcement cameras. The new cameras are not intended to give out tickets, but help police trace vehicles suspected in crimes.
This is a game changer as it relates to crime in the public setting.
Peel Police vehicles already have ALPR technology that can read license plates. This same technology will be used in intersections and can automatically notify authorities of a license plate suspected in crimes and image detection, transmitting video evidence in real time. But they say people are not targeted.
The technology does not include a facial recognition portion where the cameras will detect faces against any type of database that belongs to police. It's completely out of scope for this.
When asked about the privacy of those who may be filmed using these cameras, Mayor Patrick Brown pushed back.
If you're committing a crime in Brampton, you have no privacy. If you want privacy and want to commit a crime, go to another community. It's no longer the case in the city of Brampton.
And while the locations of these cameras are not being disclosed, there are currently cameras operational. All 50 cameras will not be operational until the end of the year. Sean Lethong, CTV News.
On this cold, windy day, Ray Passano is taking Kenny on a walk. The 13-year-old isn't wearing gloves and is carrying the dog's waste in a bag.
Holding it in this cold weather is very hard, especially if he does another poop too. So I really would like to just be able to know if someone's okay with having poop put in their trash.
Instead of walking the dog's poop all the way home, Passano knows it can be dumped in the neighbor's garbage because of this sticker that says dog poo is welcome here. It was designed by Nicole Ayalon, who was inspired by a post she saw in a West Island Facebook group. It said, just a reminder to dog owners, please be respectful and bring your poop home with you. Not everyone leaves their trash can outside, and I don't want my garage smelling like dog poop because you felt entitled to use anyone's garbage instead of bringing it home or throwing it in the public one across the street. The divisive post generated almost 200 comments about whether or not it's okay to leave dog droppings in someone else's garbage.
I just thought to myself, okay, well, it bothers some people and it doesn't bother other people. So wouldn't it be nice if there was a way of identifying who is who?
So Ayalon created these stickers. One version says dog poo is welcome here. The other says no poo please. Both options are available in English and French and cost $7.
Initially, I was going to personally hand deliver them to whoever orders, but then I realized there actually is a lot of interest.
In a matter of days, her website Doo-Doo Decals received 200 orders, including from Joseph Henry Passano.
It's not pleasant to carry around. So yeah, if some neighbors would have like those stickers on their garbage bins, that'd be super helpful. And I think it's a very smart initiative.
I'm very excited to keep the peace in the neighborhood. So hopefully when people have the stickers, we won't have this discussion anymore.
Despite demand, Ayalon is not quitting her real job. She just hopes her small business will help dogs' business go in a bin where it's welcome. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News, Vaudreuil-Dorion.
Children's author Lana Button wanted a fresh photo taken in her hometown of St. Stephen, New Brunswick for the back of her books, and the photo itself is everything she wanted, but there's a lot going on that you can't see.
Just before I left, I got the phone call to come back for a second mammogram. I had been having this really nagging fatigue that I just couldn't shake.
Lana says she was encouraged to schedule a mammogram after reading a social media post from another local, Brianna Gnome, about her breast cancer journey and how early detection was key.
That was my first mammogram. I'm not proud to say at 56 I had my first mammogram.
Further testing showed that Lana did in fact have breast cancer.
And I knew, the statistics, 1 in 8 women. But in my mind, I was like, okay, 1 in 8 women, but I don't smoke. I nursed my kids. There's no breast cancer in my family.
Lana remembers seeing Brianna just after hearing her story.
I said, Brianna, you really inspired me. I'm going to get my first mammogram because of your post. Like, it was such a powerful post. You're really going to help someone.
Lana spoke to Brianna again after learning that she had breast cancer too.
It was very, very emotional, but I was very appreciative, and it really has inspired me to want to make sure that I'm continuing to advocate and have conversations and look for opportunities, because it really does show that we can all make a difference.
As both women continue with their recovery, their message is clear. You need to be your own self-advocate.
And I guess that I feel like I have a responsibility to kind of pay it forward.
I have had people say, I booked my mammogram, and that's what it's all about. We have to take care of ourselves.
Sharing a message, connecting with women near and far. Nick Moore, CTV News, St. Stephen.
Danielle Shingoose was stopped in her tracks this week while taking out her trash at her home in Wayway-Sikapo First Nation.
It looked like a big cat, so I took out my phone and started recording and zoomed in, and it looked like a cougar because of its long tail.
She shared the clip in her family's group chat. Her nephew posted it on Facebook, and in the few days since, it's collected more than 600,000 views.
When I seen it, I said, that's definitely a big feline.
Worried for families in the area, Anthony Longclaws got out his drone to look for tracks, but didn't find much as the snow was too hard.
From what I seen on my drone, there's lots of little rabbit trails in the back there, so there's a quick little lunch there for the cougar.
Right. While Shingoose and Longclaws think it's a cougar, one expert says it's hard to say for sure.
What I saw is an animal that might be a cougar, but unfortunately the video was taken from too far away and it's a little bit grainy, and there's not a lot in the video that can indicate the size of the animal.
However, Bill Watkins says Wayway-Sikapo is a hotspot for cougar sightings in Manitoba. Genetic research he's partnered with Assiniboine Park Zoo on indicates cougars are likely coming back to Manitoba from North Dakota and Saskatchewan.
The habitat's right. When I take out a little ruler and kind of measure the cat to the fence post, seems the right size. Looks pretty dark, but that could be the way the sun is coming on it.
Stephen Peterson is another biologist who works with Watkins. He says it's probably a cougar, but defers to his partner's expert eye.
Whatever it is, it's a pretty incredible observation, I would say.
Now, Longclaws says he's going to take his drone out again this weekend to see if he can try to find a little bit more evidence.
Yeah, get to the bottom of this for us, will you? Did Manitoba Conservation come and check any of this out?
So Shingoose said officers did come to check out the area, and a provincial spokesperson confirmed officers are aware of the sighting, but noted cougar sightings are uncommon and conflicts with people are, again, rare.
All right, stay on this for us, Michelle. You got me hooked. Thanks.
Kennedy's Flags in Erin, Ontario has been in business since 1947, so they've seen their fair share of Canadian milestones and celebrations.
We make flags all winter long.
But owner Tammy Quantrell says winter is usually a slow period.
So not a lot of people buy flags at that time of year. It's cold out. They don't want to go outside and put up a flag on their pole.
Although, in the lead up to National Flag Day on February 15th and in the weeks that have followed, there has been a significant shift in that trend. Canadian flags have been flying off the shelves.
We've seen a spike over the last 3-4 weeks. It's jumping up around 80% now, more than normal.
The demand for Canadian flags is so high, they've actually had to start selling off ones meant for display as they work to make more.
I'm proud to be Canadian, and I am totally anti-American right now.
Darcy Watling came in to get a fresh flag. He says the tariff turmoil is even more reason to display our colors proudly.
I have Canadian flags on all of my company trucks.
For Tammy, it's a weird situation to be in. Business is booming at a time when other industries are struggling.
It's just brought more awareness to how hard it is to be a manufacturer in Canada. So people coming out just to support it. The fact that we make the flags and that is their symbol that they want to buy Canadian and be Canadian, it just is all tying in together here in this store.
A sign that Canadians won't wave the white flag, something that shouldn't be seen as a red flag either, because when you pair the two together, red and white is something to be proud of. Spencer Turcott, CTV News, Erin.
After weeks of intensive training, these recruits want to look their best for an important moment. The day they march into City Hall to graduate as new police officers.
Today is just the end of 50 of us and our class coordinators and all the rest of the training staff working together to get through class and to teach us how to survive on the streets and be good, confident police officers.
As Chief of Police, I am proud to see the size and depth of this graduating class.
This, one of the largest graduating classes for the Edmonton Police Service.
We need those members to work with the community
address a growing number of needs and make sure that we're providing an adequate response to the needs of all the different communities.
He says the number of people applying is on the rise, which will help their goal of having 150 new officers graduate this year.
That's translating into a more competitive process than it maybe has been in recent past.
For Cole Vriend, becoming a constable is a way to give back to the community he grew up in.
Kind of every day is different. You never really know what you're going to get into, and keeps it a little bit more exciting. I also love that there's a bunch of different areas that you can work in within EPS, so you can have a 25-year career and basically do, anywhere from up to 100 different jobs.
While Constable Brooklyn Swain's choice for a policing career is thanks in part to a school resource officer she met in grade 9.
It's very different knowing that one little interaction kind of changed my whole life. So
EPS also welcomed 2 new 4-legged members.
I guarantee it'll be the highlight when they catch the scroll in their mouth up on the stage. No question.
This, the start of what these graduates hope is a long and safe new career. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
For years, Paula Trefiak has dealt with the relentless effects of ALS.
Fasciculations, also known as muscle twitching. It was started in my legs, and then it's progressively spread throughout my whole body.
She began showing warning signs in 2010 and officially diagnosed in 2016. By then, her quality of life had deteriorated.
I was emergency medical responder. I couldn't do that work anymore. I was going to school for dental hygiene. I couldn't hold my instruments anymore. So I had to go back to school.
Shortly after, clinical trials for a new drug offered a glimmer of hope.
I started the clinical trial for Qalsody in November 2016. That trial lasted about 6 months.
Luckily, Trefiak was able to stay on Qalsody after the trial, increasing her dosage over time to where she is today.
So this drug is a drug that's specifically for patients with ALS that is caused by a genetic mutation in the SOD1 gene. It's about 3% of the population of patients with ALS.
Dr. Genge says the drug has shown significant improvement for the small portion of ALS patients who carry the SOD1 gene, like Trefiak.
My fasciculations and cramping improved. I actually regained 6% muscle mass that I had previously lost. I'm speaking better.
The drug has been approved by Health Canada, but that doesn't mean it's widely accessible yet.
There are significant negotiations that have to go across Canada, federal, pan-Canadian, and then into a provincial area to be able to make sure that Canadians can get access. We also know that there are drugs that have been approved by Health Canada that never made it through those barriers. We would never want to see that in the case of ALS.
For now, the drug has helped to slow the devastating impact of the disease for some, giving people like Trefiak hope despite the limitations of ALS. Angela Stewart, CTV News, Regina.
Is this like a vinyl or leather?
It's a car lover's dream, a chance to see the latest vehicles all under one roof. From sleek sedans to powerful trucks, the Chatham Indoor Auto Show is offering something for everyone.
Our goal is to have a show so that we can showcase what we have here locally. Ideally, working with all the dealers, we want people to shop in Chatham-Kent for their next vehicle.
9 dealers from across Chatham-Kent taking part. But this year's show comes amid concerns over the impact of U.S. tariffs on Canadian vehicles and parts. Higher manufacturing costs could soon mean higher prices for consumers.
We're selling vehicles like crazy. So, and people they understand that, what we're saying about getting ahead of this and not waiting for price increases and stuff from these tariffs.
The general manager of Chatham Chrysler, Mike Hogue, says the time to buy is now if you're shopping for a new vehicle, noting the incentive rates being offered are the best they've been since pre-COVID.
And the selection's fantastic. So I would say there's no better time than right now to purchase the vehicle.
People worry about obviously the economic state of the last couple weeks. That's a big concern for everybody.
Experts warn if the trade dispute continues, Canadians looking to buy a new vehicle may have to dig deeper into their pockets.
People are questioning and asking, should I buy now? Well, you can see the price, it is what it is. They can guarantee you that's the price. They really can't 3 months from now if Donald Trump decides he wants to throw tariffs on somewhere.
But for now, the auto show is a place for buyers to explore their options without sales pressure and give back to the community. Admission is a canned good or cash donation that'll go to 6 local charities.
It's a show, so it's not a sale, so there's no pressure You can ask questions, and at the end of the day, you walk away and there's nobody chasing you to your car, right?
The show runs all weekend long, wrapping up Sunday afternoon. At the John D. Bradley Convention Center in Chatham, Chris Campbell, CTV News.
Happy International Women's Day.
This is not just any Friday at Timmins City Hall. It's one to celebrate with chocolate roses. The distribution of these edible flowers is a more than 20-year-old tradition by the Timmins and Women Area and Crisis Center and Lviv. It's a reminder to females on International Women's Day to cheer for themselves.
It's really a day to celebrate women and our resilience and our strength and what we've accomplished.
I just wish for women today and every day, but especially today, that they can feel strong, that they can feel proud of themselves, and that they can just, take their place in society and keep fighting.
Mayu says this is important as women continue to battle unresolved issues.
I mean, the fact that there's still a lot of violence against women, the fact that our rights as women are never... we can fight for our rights and we can gain things, but then they're never for sure. It's always put back on tables. Just, for example, abortion.
Timmins Mayor Michelle Boileau joined the organizations to proclaim March 8th International Women's Day in Timmins to raise awareness of the work they do in the community.
Our shelter is a 10-bed shelter, so at any given time we can have 10 people. We are almost always at capacity or over capacity depending on the situation.
If they come to the crisis center, we meet with them privately and we just talk about their situation and what services they would need and want. So that could be counseling services, housing services, outreach, family court, child witness for their children.
The theme of this year's International Women's Day is Accelerate Action, which calls for urgency of advancing gender equality. According to the World Economic Forum, at the current pace, achieving full gender parity may take 5 generations. Lydia Chubak, CTV News, Timmins.
After 4 decades of living next to this dog park, Pat says it was a first.
Yes, we wondered what happened.
All the people here were wondering who turned a stump like that into a home like this.
Who knows? Maybe it's a gnome.
But definitely, they all said,
it's a mystery.
Until now.
I think it's got to do something with that stump.
Carmel Nesbitt and her husband Tony could see the dying tree from their living room window before it was cut to a stump and remained untouched for months.
When are they going to take these out?
It was one of more than half a dozen stumps.
I just wanted to make something happy and, see what would happen.
So one day she asked Tony if he could make a roof and some windows.
Well, it wasn't something I wanted to do, but I did it.
Because they both credit 45 years of happy marriage with finding fun things to do together.
Try to make each other laugh every day.
And perhaps if they secretly constructed a gnome home in the park at night, they could have coffee and see people smile from afar every morning. And they did.
And I thought, well, I guess it wasn't such a bad idea.
But an even better idea, Carmel thought, was decorating it, never imagining her gnome home would spark a gnome village.
I think good deeds kind of perpetuate themselves.
Allie Jones and her husband Jason Tucker were inspired to make this once sad stump smile, while siblings Nora and Laurel Whiteside united to make this makeover magical. And now, almost every tree that has been chopped has been transformed with some sort of cheer.
I think it's really nice for the neighborhood.
Yeah, makes everybody smile.
It reminded me of my childhood and stories about elves and fairies.
And now there's no mystery that no matter what happens in your community, you can always find a way to make it feel like there's no place like Gnome. Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, View Royal.